Chapter 3 Tinker Bell 2 Sunday evening, the 27th of August, 1939. Tilly stood at the top of the stairs, Bonnie nuzzling her hand and staring down at the hallway and the front door below. She couldn't believe what Dad had just said. How could anyone possibly want to kill her beautiful little dog? Bonnie gave a whimper. Tilly turned her head and stared down, too numb to move. "No one's doing anything to you," whispered Tilly. "We've been together since you were born, and Daddy won't touch a hair on your head. That's a promise." As if satisfied, Bonnie stopped whimpering, sat on her bottom and looked up with such a trusting look that Tilly's eyes filled with tears. Then, in a surge of rage, she grabbed the banister, swung herself downstairs 4 steps at a time, and landed with a roar on the hall carpet. Mum put her head around the kitchen door. "Don't make such a noise, and you still haven't laid the table for tea." "Is that all you can think about?" cried Tilly, marching into the kitchen. Dad was sitting in his usual place at the top of the table, reading the evening paper. The words Poland, Germany and government seemed to be in headlines all over the front page. "Go and help your mother," said Dad, not looking up. "Does Mum know about Bonnie?" said Tilly in a shaky voice. "Know what?" said Mum. "Dad's going to kill Bonnie tomorrow." Then her bottom lip dropped down and she burst into tears. Mum was slicing cucumber, but she hesitated and looked at Tilly, her face dark with worry, the dimple like creases on her pale cheek. Now, she said. "Is that all you can say?" Tilly managed to force out in between sobs. Dad put down his paper and said, "Your mother and I agree. Everyone is doing the same. Dogs will go mad if there's bombing." "And gas," said Mum. "Mrs. Benson opposite, you know, her Alec works at the zoo." Dad nodded. "Well, she said we could face hordes of frenzied dogs rampaging through the streets, foaming at the mouth." "And there'll be rationing. There won't be enough food for dogs and cats and the like," said Dad. "But you don't know there'll be a war," Tilly was almost shouting. "You can't kill my darling Bonnie Bonbons. How can you even think about it? I've had her since she was a puppy. She's our loyal pet and our friend. Are you going to kill all your friends if there's a war?" Dad gave a snort as if to say, "Don't be ridiculous," and his eyebrows furrowed with annoyance, which made Tilly even more furious. She felt as though her head could explode with rage. It was all she could do to stop herself sweeping everything off the tea table. "They must listen. They have to listen. How can you be so cruel? Don't you care about Bonnie? Don't you care about me?" There was a shocked silence as Mum wrung her hands together, cheeks hot and red, strands of hair sticking to her forehead. Dad dropped his eyes for a few seconds, and then he looked back up at Tilly and held up the paper. "Look at the headlines, my girl. We have to face facts. Hitler wants Poland now. Britain and France won't let him get away with that. He's already taken other countries. He's a menace. He wants all of Europe. The whole country's preparing for war. I've dug our Anderson shelter into the garden. Your mother's making blackout curtains, and you'll be evacuated next Tuesday to the countryside with your friend from the high school." "Evacuated? Where? Who will I stay with?" This was the first time Tilly had heard definitely that she was being sent away. A cold shiver went through her. Mum was dabbing her eyes with her apron. "You don't want me to go away, Mum, do you?" said Tilly, and the tears started to spurt out again. But Mum turned to the sink and banged the pots around like she did whenever she was upset. "All the children are going. We'll pack your things this week." But what if I hate it? Anyway, Bonnie can come with me, can't she? There's no need to separate us if I'm going away. There won't be any bombs or gas in the countryside." She suddenly felt a corner of hope. Of course, that's the answer to everything. But Dad frowned and his brown eyes narrowed as he snapped, "Don't be such a silly girl. The families who take in the evacuees won't want their pets too. I'm taking Bonnie to the vet after work tomorrow, and that's my final word." Tilly stared down at her lap, tears plopping on her napkin. "What on earth am I going to do?" she thought, all kinds of insane ideas running through her mind. Mum was putting ham and salad onto plates when suddenly there was a loud bang outside the open window. The sound of sobbing floated across the gardens. "What was that?" said Tilly. She glanced at her mother, whose eyes were wide with fright. "Ted Bowes," said Dad, taking a slice of bread and butter, "said he was going to shoot their greyhound with his old rifle. Eat up now, Tilly. Don't waste food." "It's really happening," thought Tilly, feeling ice all over. "They're killing the pets." She could hardly eat anything, and for once Mum didn't insist she had to clear her plate. All she could think about was running around to Rosie's and collapsing in tears on her bed. After tea, Tilly asked if she could take Bonnie for a walk. "I might call on Rosie," she said, trying to sound as casual as possible. "Well, just for half an hour," said Mum. "I need you to help me with the curtains in the bedrooms. There's still so much to do, and the blackout starts on Friday." Clipping Bonnie's lead on, Tilly went out of the house and down the garden path, her legs still shaking with the shock. How could everything have changed so much since they were playing in their den?